We're going.
Hey, I hope this is working.
You have to have someone watching it for it to work.
Well, at a minimum, it's at least going to go on the YouTube channel, so we have content. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pop over to. I feel like I'm popping over to the YouTube page and seeing if I see us. I wonder if there's. I think there's supposed to be a delay.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah, there's a delay.
Oh, hey, look at
live.
that. Sweet. That's weird. This is weird.
Yeah, first time
so
doing this.
I could murder you right now.
What?
And then we'll see it.
The evidence.
And then we'll see it.
Yeah. You get to experience it twice.
Yeah.
Twice the satisfaction.
So hey, this is Sean.
And Alex.
And we're the Dukes of Dice.
Yeah.
This is our live Q&A where you can ask us questions live if there's anybody out there.
Which there might not be.
Sure, why not?
Thanks to our Patreon subscribers, by the way, for making this possible. I think we got another pledge up. It's up to 31 last I checked.
Yes, Patrick Hillier. I was going to thank him on Twitter soon. So yeah, we'll mention that on the podcast proper, like we normally do.
Set to be released 1 day early if you're kind of a regular listener, and then for anyone else, Patreon should say the Patreon select group that would be on Saturday, right?
Yes,
Saturday night. You should expect that.
That is true. So is there a way to tell if people are here or watching? I don't know. Shouldn't we see something over there?
Well, you have something there. There's the chat.
Yeah, there's the chat.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's watching.
All right.
Do you want to answer some questions from the guild?
No, not yet.
Okay.
We might have some time to fill here, Alex.
Oh God.
let's not jump the gun here.
We have one viewer, but I don't know if I think that's us watching us on the stream.
So I hope this is
2 viewers. There we go.
Hey, hey, viewer. Can you hear us okay?
Send something on the chat if you can hear us okay.
We have to wait and see. Oh, there's us saying that's us.
This is great TV.
This is super exciting. 2 viewers. Okay.
Yep.
Fantastic. So, Alex, you want to know what really grinds my gears?
Oh boy, Sean. So
I've got the Brett Spiel whatever advent calendar.
Okay.
The big box that I brought back from BGG.
Oh, that thing, yeah.
That's a promo for every day. It's like advent calendar.
We lost them already.
Well, this sucks.
They don't actually record their podcast pamphlets.
I think that maybe they were like wondering. I don't know what they're wondering. Anyway, so I got the Brett Spiel advent calendar.
Yes.
And there are 24 days of promos for a bunch of different board games, and people are spoiling them on Twitter, like the day of on Twitter, on Facebook.
Oh, some
like Facebook friends and stuff. It's kind of annoying because we open them in the evening, and so I'm on my Facebook feed like in the morning, and all of a sudden they're like, "Hey, here's today's promo." I'm like, "Oh," like I feel like you could wait a day.
See, I don't even know what this thing is.
So day 1, I'm gonna spoil day 1 and day 2, not day 3, because day 3 is today. Maybe someone's going to open it today. It's kind of the thing like you have a week to spoil The Walking Dead or not spoil The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Type thing. So day 1 was a Catan promo. Day 2 was Fields of Arla.
Okay.
And day 3 was, I'm not going to say it because I'm not going to spoil it. Because, nope, just an email. So how have you been, Alex?
I've been fine. It's my Saturday night, effectively. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of good gaming yesterday. We got in, I think you mentioned this. It's a really good sign if you play a game that we just reviewed again.
Right.
And that happened with Orleans. And I think that's a reasonably good sign, especially long-term for the double take.
Yeah. So Chris Holm, one of our Patreon Knights, he's like, I really want to play Orleans. I hear good things about it. And so we played it. And I've actually been jonesing to play it again.
Yeah.
So
I'm
saying after we reviewed it.
Oh, yeah.
Which was just like 4 days ago.
Right.
So love the game. Just still a solid 6, and you said it's still a 5.
It's a 5. Yeah, it doesn't rise above that, but it's a solid game. I mean, it didn't drop from that. And some of these games that we play will lose staying power over time. We've seen that with the double take, where more often than not, a game's not going up; it's going down.
Right.
Not in all cases, but at least in most cases.
So I guess we can't really. We played Viticulture because we're going to be reviewing that.
Yes.
So why don't you do a couple things for me? Because I'm gonna pop on over on YouTube and make sure that our sound is actually our sound.
Yes.
Make sure that we sound okay. Number 1, that's loud enough. Why don't you tell them what the plan is for episode 69?
Yes.
What we're reviewing.
Yep.
And then also a little bit about the Stonemaier
auction. Yeah.
Auction.
Yep.
So you do that.
So episode 69, we are going to be reviewing a whole bunch of stuff. It's one of those, I don't know if you call it coveted, but one of those big time double review episodes. So we'll have, the plan originally was to do Seven Wonders Duel and Codenames, but then in conjunction with the Viticulture auction, which I'll mention in a second, it seemed to make more sense to review Viticulture, which I'd played once before. You'd played several times before.
Oh, at least 5 times.
Yeah, this was just my second play of it. Recently, and don't want to spoil anything for the episode coming up. Hey, we're up to 3 viewers.
Hey!
All right.
Although that'll be delayed like 30 seconds.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's fine. So
by the time they hear us go, hey, they may be gone.
It's possible. Anyway.
Unless they've commented.
Which is possible.
Yeah. Okay, keep talking.
Well, we are getting some sound here, which is nice. Anyway, so we are reviewing Viticulture, and we are reviewing Seven Wonders Duel, which that game used to be tops, pretty close to tops on my list.
Base Seven Wonders.
Base Seven Wonders, though I did like Leaders mixed in there as well. And this is Seven Wonders Duel, the 2-player version of it. Kind of an innovative, interesting little card game. Oh yeah, that's totally working.
Oh yeah, we sound good.
Okay. So Seven Wonders Duel is going to be coming up, so it'll be a special double review. And you know what? I'm trying to remember, what's the double take?
I completely forgot. I posted it. Double take is Battle Lore. Battle Lore.
Which one of the more elegant games of that type that I'd played when I first gave it a shot. Had played it on the app, and yeah, curious to talk that one through and see where it settles eventually.
I'm hoping before we record to get a play in with the Undead, because I just got the Undead Army. Not with you.
Yeah, I was going to say
we don't have time.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen
with Raquel. Hopefully, Raquel and I will get a play with the Undead.
Yeah,
and she's super jealous because she likes the purple. They look really cool.
Right.
But I said, no, you already claimed red, so I'm gonna be the Undead.
Very cool. And then I didn't get to the auction, the Stonemaier Games auction. So I didn't check that one recently today.
I think it's still at 225.
225 for ours, and pretty well on thumbs. We've gotten a lot of support from the Dutchie, just people giving. There's something where so basically they're auctioning off a copy of Viticulture, the collector's edition.
Right, 10 copies.
10 copies, one for each of 10 podcasts that Jamie Stegmaier likes. And so we are one of them. That one is up to 225. All proceeds go to Big Brothers Big Sisters, cause I'm very excited about, something I've done work with. I did work with them in high school, and then I've done work with them here in Albuquerque as well as a mentor. So worthy cause. Go check that one out and go bid, because it all goes to a good cause.
And you can help promote the Dukes of Dice. So even if you're not going to bid, you can still go thumb our auction, because it lists all 10 auctions. You can thumb ours, because the associated podcast, because there's a podcast or YouTube creator associated with each auction, whoever gets the most thumbs, that podcast or YouTube creator gets an advanced copy of Scythe.
Yes.
So what the plan is, if we win, which it's not looking good right now, but if we win, then we're going to get, we've got comments. We're gonna get Scythe, we're gonna do an early review, and then we're gonna do a contest to give it away.
So Retro Machine TV weighed in with a comment on Seven Wonders Duel. I had the odd game the other night where 3 resource cards missed age 1 and really starved. Yeah, I can imagine that would kind of handicap things throughout the course of the game. I will say this. The thing that I think is really cool is this is one that can end in so many different ways.
Yeah.
A lot of different possible paths or ending to victory.
So far in 5 plays, I have not seen a victory point victory.
Interesting.
It's always been military or science
supremacy.
Science supremacy.
Yeah, and I got you in military on that first one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So more thoughts on that. But I'm liking it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's all I'll say about that.
Yes, indeed. So we will get into the review on that one. But yeah, it's certainly an interesting implementation of that as a 2-player game. You're always curious when you have a big name brand like that, a brand like Pandemic, which they've turned into Pandemic the Cure, and they've turned into Pandemic Contagion. Right. And Pandemic Legacy, though, that's more off of base Pandemic. It's much derivative. How much that translates over or doesn't translate over. Yeah. So that'll be coming out on Saturday for some, Sunday for others.
Yes,
keep an eye out for that. So.
And then Retro Machine also mentioned he'd like to try Viticulture, and I think you should, because it's awesome.
It is pretty awesome. Yeah.
I don't think it's really a spoiler. I mean, because you've mentioned before that it's
on the first play I had of it. I mentioned I really liked it.
You really liked it, and at one point you said if you had more plays of it, it's a potential top 10.
Yes.
I've said it's a short list for top 10. So, spoiler alert! You don't have to listen to the episode now. Just kidding. Just kidding. Listen to the episode. So, everybody, Mike R, another one of our Patreon. He's a count now, right?
Oh, I don't remember the levels, but sure.
He said that our sound is good. and so did Retro Machine, but his phone keeps crashing.
Okay. So Retro Machine also, military has beaten me handily. I get too greedy. Haven't come close to a science win yet. You were actually reasonably close to a science win in our game. I think you were two techs away.
I was 2 techs away. I think what's really important for a science win is having one of the progress tokens. Is that what they're called? The ones that the green tokens at the top?
Yes.
Having one of those be one of the technologies, because then you're less reliant on what's popping up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I just kept marching to victory. But it was really a lucky flip because there was no military card showing, no other chance for a flip, and it was the last card that was unveiled. And you had flipped it, and sure enough, it came up military, and I had the exact perfect set of resources to buy it.
Right.
Because I think there would have been a question as to whether or not I would have. I don't know how it would have gone on the points. I don't know what you think that would have resulted.
It would have been really close.
Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly would have been really close.
And we'll get in a couple more plays before we review it here. So, yeah, keep an eye out for all that. So questions.
Yep, I'm working on that. So just so you know, Retro Machine TV, since we have 2 watch now, but keep them coming. He said the economy token's great. The other player had to keep paying me for resources. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm really enjoying the game.
So I was.
This looks spooky. If I do this,
yeah,
it's like I'm telling
underlit.
I'm telling a scary story, Alex.
Not really.
Well,
that's not that good.
Hashtag mean Duke Alex.
Well, not anymore. You stole that handily, my friend.
We'll see.
So you want to start with Josh's?
Sure.
So Josh wrote in on the guild because we had some people leave us questions for those who couldn't make it, and this will be posted up on the YouTube channel anyway, in case you're tuning in late. So let's see. Now that you've been going for more than a year, lead a great community of fans, and even made it onto the Dice Tower Network, what's been your proudest moment so far?
So I think for me, it's twofold, and it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So very excited to be part of the Dice Tower Network, and we've been on breakfast for off and on for a while.
We were sort of like we had a visa to the Dice Tower Network.
Okay.
We're full citizens.
Sure.
Yes.
So the coolest thing was, and I heard it for the first time at the live taping of the live breakfast at Board Game Geek, when Eric Summer does the outro for the show, and he says another Dice Tower Network shows like blah 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 blah, and rolling dice, taking names.
Right.
And list them all off, and then the Dukes of Dice. It was super cool. Like that was really
just
cool.
That moment to kind of hear. Yeah,
that was really cool. And then kind of going along with that, when we got the audio files from him that were just in episode 68.
Yeah. You were asking me if I was jealous to have the competition, and the answer is no. I'm not jealous to have Eric Summerer's competition. He's got an amazing voice. There's a reason they call him the Velvet Voice.
Yeah.
On a day like today, where I'm all kind of stuffed up, I'm perfectly happy with him with having those recordings ready to go.
Yeah. No. So that for me, that was my cool, that's pretty sweet. Pretty sweet.
I think it was at Dice Tower Con, and I think the biggest moment for me was having people actually recognize, oh yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah.
And starting to see that more and more has been cool.
I was definitely recognized a lot more at Dice Tower Con than I was at BGG Con.
Interesting.
But maybe I think it's the Dice Tower Con. People are a lot more familiar with Dice Tower-ish personalities.
I would say emailing with some of the board game designers and kind of having that sense of, oh, they're out there and they're talking about it and they hear our reviews. I thought that was kind of a cool moment. You told this story on the last episode where you ran into the designer of Spectre Ops.
Oh, yeah. Emerson Matsuuchi.
Yeah.
Awesome guy. Super nice. Despite me being mean to Sean.
But he apologized and kind of mentioned that he listened to the review. And it makes sense if you're a game designer, you're going to listen to what people are talking about when it comes to your game.
Yeah.
So
remember that, Mean Duke Alex. So there was a question that wasn't on the guild.
Yeah.
And this actually got PM'd to me or geek mailed to me. And the question was about what okay, let me think how to phrase this, because there were some specifics that went along with it, and I don't want to go into the details of the specifics.
Right.
But what is the duty of people like us, of board game media content creators, in our reviews? And also in our actions with maybe other reviewers or other designers. So there were 2 things that came to mind, or that he mentioned. One was there was a couple months ago, one prominent reviewer criticized another prominent reviewer for basically being a shill. Another incident, which was about a month ago or so, was one board game media person criticized a board game designer for touting statistics about the playtesting of their game, saying they couldn't possibly be true. And so the duty what's our duty to investigate before we make claims. Are we journalists? I mean, you are actually a journalist.
I am actually legitimately a journalist. And I would say with a podcast, in a sense, not as much.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, we are doing interviews.
Right.
We are reviewing games, so we're giving our opinions, but they are far more editorial than anything. It's an opinion. It's not. Right. It's not based on fact. I mean, some of it's based on facts. Like this component is made out of this, and I don't like it. But that I don't like it is where you get into the opinion territory. So I don't know. I don't know exactly what our duty is. I will say how I approach all of this is my duty is to someone who's going to be listening to us and might make a buying decision off of our opinion or our thoughts, especially knowing what our tastes in games are.
Sure.
And getting, we mentioned this with Power Grid Deluxe.
Yeah.
Kind of the dilemma we had about what's really deluxe and is this enough of an upgrade? And so, I mean, I think we get into it, and I think there's always that weird line you toe, especially when you get something like review copies. At what point is it sort of paid endorsement or paid media,
right,
versus just genuine, heartfelt opinions? Mm-hmm. And I would say the vast majority of games we review are not review copies. When they are, we try and disclose it. But the vast majority of stuff we're getting,
I think we always do. We always do.
Oh, always,
yeah. Because I think that's important. I think for you as a real life journalist, and me as an attorney, I think we're not likely to go out and make unfounded accusations.
No,
because that doesn't happen in our business. Well, not typically. It shouldn't.
We hear level-headed accusations. I mean, it's our job to kind of take those in and sort of process those, at least as journalists. And you guys do the same thing. Right. But in terms of actually making them ourselves, less so. Yeah.
So I think what we should be, unless we wanted to be board game journalists, which is not what we do, and it's not what most board game media content creators do. I don't think. At least not podcasters and YouTube reviewers and things like that. So like I know. So I can think of two times where you took umbrage with me.
Oh yeah.
You thought so. Number one was Praetor.
Yep.
So that was a review copy, and you thought I was giving it a pass because it was a review copy.
Yeah, a little bit.
And
in retrospect, here's what I'll say.
Yeah.
It is more your style of game than it is my style of game anyway.
And yeah, I believe I gave it a 5.
Yeah.
And as of now, and I have played it since, as of now, I will still stand by that 5. And there's another question that we had from the guild, which I'll kind of address more about that. And then the other one was Between Two Cities.
Oh, okay.
So,
what? No, sorry. Oh. I sorry. Chris Evans hopped in with a question. So,
hey, Chris, how's it going?
Trying to respond to people's questions as they come in. So, we once chatted about we talking about Traders of Osaka.
Yes.
And you were wondering how it compared to Jaipur. So I played Jaipur.
Have you played Traders of Osaka?
I have not played Traders of Osaka.
You would love Traders of Osaka.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think they're both great games. I feel so. Jaipur is strictly 2 players. Traders of Osaka, I think, plays up to 4.
Okay.
From most of what I've heard, it's preferable at 2.
Okay.
And based on my 3 gameplays of it, they've all been at 2. I can see that. Okay. And in fact, I've been hesitant to pull it out at 3 or 4 players because of there's just I think too much chaos. There's the game state, the board state would change too much in between turns with 3 or 4 players.
Right. And
I think 2 players is probably the ideal number of players.
I see.
So, but you would definitely like it because what would Jaipur be for you?
Jaipur, it's in that 4 range, upper end of the 4 range, I think.
Okay.
Like it well enough. I'm glad I own it, but it's a very solid game. As a 2-player game, it works pretty well.
As a solid 2-player light filler, it's probably like a filler 5 for me. I think it's a fantastic game. Traders of Osaka, I'm not sure how I feel about just yet. I like it a lot. Right. I think it's good. It's somewhere. It's going to be a 4 or a 5.
Now, so you're not a Knizia guy.
No.
When I'm thinking 2-player kind of lighter end, right now Lost Cities is the one that kind of dominates that thought for me, or Tides of Time, which sure enough I just ended up getting it for my Secret Santa. By the way, if my Secret Santa is one of the 2 people watching at the moment, thank you very much for an amazing set of stuff. I got Time Stories, I got the expansion to Time Stories, I got Tides of Time, which is one of my new favorites, and Freedom the Underground Railroad, which I'm very excited to play.
You've been dying to
I really want to play that one.
It's funny you got that just as Rory, our buddy that owns Empire Board Game Library, just got all the Academy games into the library.
Yes. So I'm glad I didn't actually end up buying one just yet. So, and Chris Evans just responded kind of what we were saying. He likes that Traders of Osaka does scale up.
Yeah. So I don't know, Chris, if you've had a chance to play it at at more than 3 players. It sounds like you have. So far, I'm enjoying it as a 2-player game, and at some point, I'll have you play it.
Yeah.
Did you ever play Targi or Targi? Targi?
Yeah, I just had gotten it out of the box, and then more people had shown up.
Okay.
Yeah, I came close to playing it.
Yeah, I like those 2-player games that have a significant amount of depth to them.
They might be worth at some
They're
point.
still short.
Doing like a top 5 2-player game segment at some point.
Okay. Yeah, no, probably. Although I think low player count would have some words with us.
Well, yes. Yes, they would.
No, actually, they'd be excited. They'd be excited that we're promoting 2-player games.
Well, and
low player count games.
The trick is my top 2 games of all time might end up being my top 2-player games.
Are you talking games that you prefer 2 players or games that are strictly 2 players?
Games. So I think there's 2 ways to think about it. I think if we did the discussion topic, it would probably have to be games that are strictly 2 players.
Okay.
But what I would quibble with is not putting, say, baseball highlights in that category, for instance.
Yeah, but I think Baseball Highlights was intended to be a 2-player
Exactly
game.
right. I mean, even the 4-player is 2 separate parallel 2-player games.
Yeah, and like Motainai was intended to be 2 and 3 players, but
I don't think that would fit the bill then.
No, I know, but I'm saying
for that discussion.
I'm saying it was intended to be 2 to 3 players, but then they tacked on a 4 or 5 player element to it. So from the guild, prior question from Andrew Awesome or Bob Rocks, BOBROXS. Now that you're not quite 100 episodes in, now that we're about 70 episodes in, how have your views on games that simply just have a small, how have your views changed on games that simply just have a small kink in them? So he was referencing Shut Up and Sit Down. Awesome podcast, awesome video stuff, obviously. And when they first started reviewing, apparently, they were more forgiving of small problems with games.
Yes.
And now, as time has gone on, they're saying there's no excuse. If it has a small problem, get rid of it.
Right.
What do you think?
Well, and if we can spot a kind of one of those small problems, so to speak, in 3 plays, you wonder how it can make it through someone who's played it hundreds of times. And maybe it's just that not a fresh set of eyes kind of thing. Sometimes it's budget considerations. So it's tough to tell. I mean, I think it's very, very hard to make a truly perfect game. To tune it up to the point where it has no flaws in it whatsoever.
Well, okay, so we're talking about flaws. What kind of flaws are we talking about? We're talking about rules flaws, component flaws, gameplay flaws,
iconography.
Right. Are there some of those elements that you're more forgiving of than others?
Iconography can be a tricky one. So I think it depends on the game. If it's just on a couple of cards here and there or a couple of things, fine. But for instance, in a game like Deus, that was one where we talked about that a lot, where that's it's one of them's green, one of them's brown for wood. Right. It's confusing.
Yeah. And that knocked the game down. I think it knocked it from a 5 to a 4.
It might
for you.
Yeah. Well, it was because it was on the borderline. It was pretty close between a 4 and a 5.
Sure.
And I think it just was able to kind of knock it a little bit down off of its perch because of that. Rules issues, if they're the wrong kinds of rules issues, can really smoke. I mean, we just talked about it a second ago with Praetor. That's really what I was so angry about, was that one loop. I was like, how did no one play test this? What's going on here?
Well, I'll come back to that in a second.
Yeah.
So with rules, like bad rules, the one thing I could think of is Darkest. Oh man, that was brutal.
Yeah.
So I bought the box. It was constantly going on sale, cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. I heard rough things about the rule book. And I said, well, it's like $30 now. I'll pull the trigger. There was 2nd edition rules that were provided. Those didn't help. Me, David, and Sean, who were convinced is completely falling off the face of the earth.
I don't know where he went.
The other Sean, yeah. We muddled through this game, and the rules were so poorly written that it was awful. It was an awful experience, but we started having fun with how awful it was.
Well, and you can get to that point. I mean, that's one of my favorite podcasts in other board game media is Flip the Table for that reason, because they talk about these games that are so bad they're good. And, we had that experience with Star Wars VHS game recently. Another one of those where the rules were not so clear.
No.
It was an old style kind of roll and move game. It was one where we couldn't really hear things all that well anyway, because we were on like 6 different sets of headphones on maybe or maybe not synced up properly YouTube clips of
it was kind of cool because like, okay, everyone hit play now. But with both the Star Wars VHS game and Darkest, that one time was enough for me.
Yeah.
So I feel like if there are significant rules issues, and I'm talking more about how the rules are written,
right,
then that's an issue. So now Praetor, for example, Praetor has some issues with balance.
Right.
I think that those are fixed with the errata. If they were to ever do a second edition, then hopefully that would be included in the rulebook, because you had mentioned, well, how are people supposed to know about the errata? I mean, yeah, people go to BGG and they look stuff up, but for the most part, that needs to be in the rules. I don't think there's going to be a second printing of Praetor.
Right.
I saw it on sale for like $15 or $20.
Yeah.
So I think the community has kind of spoken. I mean, it kind of flew under the radar. Generally speaking.
Yeah.
But I think that there were some fixes that eventually got added in, and there are elements of that game that I like. I love the dice worker management. I love how you have to the paying for them, and how you have to manage their retirement. And there's a lot of things about that game I like, but it does have some problems. But I still like the game because I like some of the elements enough.
Right.
And so I think for me, if a game has enough redeeming features, I'll put up with some small problems. For example, Castle of Burgundy. No theme, horrible components in art.
Sure.
But you know what? It's my number 4 game.
Yeah, it was on my top 10 too.
So I'm willing to put up with certain things.
Right. The bar has been raised, though. I mean, especially with our reviews. I think as you look at the double takes, you're seeing games go down a notch or two.
Yeah.
Because our review tastes are getting a little more refined. We've played enough games to know what flies and what doesn't. And I think things that annoy us now probably have less of a chance of having had annoyed us a year ago.
Oh, possibly. Yeah.
I think that's the thing. A couple questions for Chris, because Chris had mentioned he bought Motainai and Baseball Highlights just from listening, which understandable. I mean, it's basically, if you're listening to us, where it's like subliminal advertising, except not really subliminal at all. Questions for Chris. Chris, which expansions did you get? And how many plays of Motainai did it take to get it? Because I've had some, not some issues teaching the rules, but it's tougher depending on the gamer you're teaching Motainai to.
Yeah.
Jillian finally grasped it on some recent plays.
Right.
And had actually actively wanted to try playing it with me.
Yeah.
So which was surprising, because she was to the point of like, I'm done. I don't want to play this anymore. I'm sick of this. No. And so, Chris,
how many no's was that?
It was several.
Okay.
Which, if you know Jillian,
I do.
Yes. Probably fits the bill. So, which expansions did you pick up, and how did learning Motainai and playing Motainai go? So, I'd say favorite strategy, but Motainai is such a fluid game, you can't really even say.
Yeah, I don't think there is a strategy. It is so fluid. It is so tactical. So Mike Fitzgerald taught Dan King, our buddy, the Game Boy Geek, and Dan hated it.
Wow.
He just hated it. He said, "Yep, not my game." He don't care for it. And so I think there's some element of, you need to give it a couple plays. It's not going to click for some people. I don't mean that they're not going to get it or they're not going to understand it, but they just may not be their cup of tea, which is fine. Although it's certainly a contender for my top game of the year, and it's certainly a true contender for my top 10.
If you look at the number of game we've played the most this year,
oh yeah,
easily Motainai.
Yeah.
So Scott Nilets, hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably not. Wrote in with a question: have any thoughts on the new trend of game series like Time Stories or the upcoming Chronicles? What's the best balance between innovation and sameness between games in a series?
So you just got Time Stories.
I just literally got it from my Secret Santa yesterday.
You got the base
Haven't
game.
Even opened it yet.
Base game and the Marcy Stories.
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. We kind of talked about this a couple episodes ago when we were talking about
Pandemic Legacy.
Pandemic Legacy.
Yeah.
And I'm okay paying for the experience. A lot of people have compared Time Stories to, say, an escape room. In fact, I was listening to the Rolling Dice Taking Names BGG episode, and they were just talking about how it's very comparable. And so you're paying $25-$30 and you're getting this hour experience, and then that's done. I mean, you can't really talk about it with people, other people, because number one, they're not there, and it's not a good story. Number two, on the off chance that they go to that particular escape room, you don't want to ruin it for them. And it's the same with Time Stories. It's the same with Pandemic Legacy, where it's this limited, finite experience, and you have to be okay with that.
Yes. And I am okay with it if it's the right experience, and if you're feeling like you're getting value. I think, for instance, with Pandemic Legacy, I don't think either of us would say we didn't get good value out of that. Not that I bought it, but had I bought it, I think we've more than gotten our fair share. And actually, we're jonesing to continue that campaign. We haven't pick that up in a couple weeks now. So hopefully on Wednesday we'll pick that up again.
It's going to be 3 weeks by the time we get back to it.
Yeah.
And for the most part, I would feel satisfied if we never played again. Let me rephrase that. It's not that I'd feel satisfied, but I'd feel like I'd gotten value out of it
already.
And we're only halfway through.
Right. And with Time Stories, I've heard some issues with value there, just that there just simply aren't enough plays in what you're buying. You're almost buying the system to get the future expansions, but those cost a decent chunk of change too. But if it's an interesting or fun enough surprise or a memorable experience, I'll say this, for instance, you mentioned the escape room analogy. I think it's perfect. We had in San Francisco, my family and I went and did it's called the Great Escape. It's called Escape Games or something, but it's a Houdini themed escape room that they run at the Palace of Fine Arts in San Francisco, which is a cool old building. But they set up this escape room. They sent us, I'll have to show you this, Sean. They sent us this data sheet kind of comparing what our times were to average times that people had.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And at different stages, though. So when you met certain milestones, because this one had, and this is not spoiling it, it's just part of the room, you had kind of 3 main puzzles, earth, fire, and water. And then you had 8 individual innovator puzzles, or puzzles that tied to the specific, they had Henry Ford mentioned, they had Helen Keller was part of this, Charlie Chaplin. And so you had to solve these kinds of different puzzles, all of them, all 11 of those sort of unlock the locks, so to speak. But they had milestones for when you completed that, and they compared the average to how you did. Oh, a fantastic experience. We paid, I think, for the room about $350 just to rent out the whole room for the entire family.
Oh, wow.
Just so it was just us.
Yeah.
But people were talking about it days later.
Oh, I'm sure.
Talking about it as teamwork. It was, it's just a beautiful experience, especially for folks who hadn't done an escape room before. So if it can play properly like that, if a game like Time Stories, and again, haven't played it yet, I don't know, if it can get you that really good, like amazing kind of experience, even if it's short-lived, I think that's worth it.
And so Scott had mentioned Chronicles, and by the way, you pronounce his last name correctly.
I'm good at that.
So I'm assuming you're talking about Origins, which is the Rob Daviau new design for next year. It's another legacy style game. They were demoing it at BGG. Matthew and I were intending to play it, but it was full up every time.
Didn't happen.
So it's a Civ game that you start off in like the Stone Age.
Right.
And what happens in the Stone Age affects the next age. You go into the Bronze Age or something. And then it's like a Civ game that you're actually playing out over several sessions. Sounds super cool. Feedback I heard from people that played it was awesome. Very exciting.
I mean, he certainly earned the cred to think it's going to be awesome.
Well, I feel like that's all he's going to be doing now. Like the demand is going to be there because you know what Pandemic Legacy is ranked right now in BGG?
What?
What's your guess?
It would have to have enough ratings to be up there.
Okay.
Is it 85?
It is higher, or I guess lower, closer to 1 than 85.
Okay. Let's go all the way down to 42.
Nope. Keep going.
25?
Keep going.
15.
Nope. Keep going.
Is it in the top 10?
Yep.
Wow.
It is number 3.
Wow.
It is number 3 right now.
That is a.
Yeah. So it's Twilight Struggle, and then Terra Mystica, Pandemic, and then Through the Ages.
So I'm going to mention this on the next episode, but I'll mention it here now anyway. It is a 6 for me.
Yeah.
It is a legitimate 6 for me. I don't know what I was thinking when I said 5. It was like, it's really, really close to a 6, but I'm not sure it's quite a 6. It's a 6. I don't know what kind of mood I was in or what I was thinking that day. And you did that. What did you do that? You did it with Patchwork.
Patchwork.
You rated 5 and then up that to a 6 later. And Pandemic Legacy, just for the sheer experience we've had and the Jones into play it and how it unfolds and the components, all of it. It's a straight up 6. So that would be a boxcars for us. And that's one of those that's in the top 10 that I completely 100% get why it's in the top 10.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was shocked when you gave it a 5. I was like, what? Really?
Yeah. No. It's
But number 3. So there's been some discussion. Does it belong there? Does it? I mean, that it's a bunch of rabid fanboys that are pumping it up. That because I rated it a 10.
Yeah,
I give you a 10. I've given Terra Mystica got a 10 for me. Tzolk'in got a 10. I don't think anything else has gotten a full 10. Everything else is like a 9.5.
Yeah.
Caverna, I think, is a 9.5. And so I give it a 10. And then some people are saying, well, but it's not a game that you can just pull off the shelf anytime. We kind of talked about that before back in episode 66 or 67 or whatever.
And I'm curious at what they'll do as far as season 2 goes. I don't know what the intention or plan is because obviously it says Pandemic Legacy. We have Bucks over here-ish.
Somewhere.
Season 1 on there. So the implication is we're going to see future, and who knows what the plans are.
There is a season 2.
Yeah.
I will tell you something off air. Don't get super excited. It's not like a big reveal.
Okay.
It's not really. It's not a reveal. But yeah, there is a season 2, but I can't tell you anything on air.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Way to go. Other questions on the guild? You want to hit that up?
Why don't you look that up, and while you're doing that, so Chris reported back that he's got everything except the latest expansions and teams. He wants Baltimore because that's the city. That's pretty cool. Also, learning Matana has been great. I have been doing 2-player games to teach people in my game group 1 by 1. That is a great approach. That is a fantastic approach.
That's the way to do it. If you teach it with 3 or 4, it can be too much of a mess.
3's not bad.
No, it's not.
3's not bad if you're playing open-handed.
But just as the complexity of that game steps up,
yeah,
the higher player count it is.
2 is preferable. So like when Mike and I were teaching Scotty, I think at OT Scotty on Twitter, teaching him, and I believe that was his wife and his friends, we split them up. We split them up into two groups of 2 to teach.
Right.
Because that's preferable.
So this one comes from Matt Walker.
Hey, Matt.
In, do the Dukes have any guilty pleasure games? Are there games out there that may not be generally reviewed well, or perhaps surpassed by other games that improved its mechanics, but for whatever reason, nostalgia or just plain fun will always have a warm place in the heart of the duchy?
I have 2. Do you have any?
I have one that I can think of off the top of my head.
Okay, you go first. I'm going to look something up here.
So this is the one that this was sort of the baseball highlights before baseball highlights for me.
Okay.
It was the game that I would defend or mention all the time, or try and play. Oh, you know this.
Neuroshima Hex?
No.
Oh, Puzzle Strike.
Puzzle Strike.
I'm like, Neuroshima Hex is a good game. What are you talking about?
So Puzzle Strike, I think, is probably better rated in my head, or I enjoy more in my head. One, it was one of the earlier true deck builders I played, Chip Builder. And I like the fact I'm really bad at shuffling. So I like the fact that it's chips, which is maybe probably helped Orleans in its review, in all honesty.
What? Really?
Yeah, no, that helps. Chips are a good thing, board game
Not
designers.
The fact that it's an amazing game or anything.
And it is an amazing game anyway. But yeah, it was one of those where I just defended it to the hilt, and then every time I break it out on the shelf after having been on the show for 6 months or so, it just kind of kept like, okay, there's other stuff I'd rather play than this. Okay. But it's still got a warm spot in my heart. I have the expansion, which I got in a math trade. I have not actually played the expansion, except once with my brother, but it was his copy. So it'll have a warm place in my heart for that reason. But yeah, it was knocked off of the top 10 list. It just plummeted down, but understandably so.
I remember you played it with Max and Suzanne.
Yes.
At Dice Tower Con.
Yes.
Raquel and I were like, we'll go play Patchwork.
Yeah, and we're gonna go do something else.
And I remember asking Max afterwards. He's like, yeah, that was a game. And Suzanne's like, it was all right.
Yeah.
So
I think some of that was just out of kindness to me, because Suzanne's awesome.
Yeah. So Matt Walker, he's been playing Pandemic Legacy with us.
Yes.
And he won our Twitter discussion the other day. I don't know if you saw this thread. So I said, hey, are you going to make it this coming Wednesday? And he's like, no, he's got family stuff. And then I said, but then the diseases win. And he's like, I know, I'm the worst. And then I said, but what about the spread of Redacted plus the many tentacled Redacted? How will we ever Redacted and Redacted? He responded, I think you'll be okay against the Sharknadoes if you remember to use the enchanted banjo. Spoiler alert. I replied, dude, not cool. There actually is an enchanted banjo in September. He replied, and here's where he won. It shows the Bluegrass Bard roll card on the back of the box. Well done, Matt.
That would be amazing if that came up in season 2. It was just like there's
an enchanted banjo? What?
The enchanted banjo wards off Redacted.
Yeah.
Also Redacted. That's such a hard game to talk about.
So my guilty pleasures, I have 2, and one of them is more. It's held in some regard. Is
guilty pleasure?
No.
Yeah, I was gonna say because that actually is.
It's ranked 19 now that Pandemic Legacy is bumped up.
Bumped it down.
I think when I first got Zolkin was ranked like 13, so it's fallen. Anyway, so I have 2. One of them is held in some esteem still.
Okay.
But it's got issues. It's Diplomacy.
Oh.
So I don't think I enjoy playing Diplomacy.
Right.
But having played it so much growing up, and having had such amazing memories with like buddies of mine from high school and college, and the fact that whenever we do get together, which is like once every 4 years, they still want to play it. I don't particularly enjoy it, but for some reason, I just love the fact that I mean, the negotiations are so strong. Like, it's such a strong element. The other one is, speaking of Rob Daviau, is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh, that would be a guilty pleasure game.
Yeah, it's a roll and move. I think it was a Hasbro or Milton Bradley or something like that. And there's actually 2 Buffy games. There's a bad one, and then there's this one, which is the quote unquote good one, and it's decent. Okay. It goes up through, I think, season 4 of Buffy, and there are different villains. So one versus many thing.
Yeah.
And it's a little cheesy. The components aren't that great. It's roll and move, but I enjoy it. Mariah's a big fan of Buffy, and yeah, it's fun.
If people are drunk enough,
yeah,
Robo Rally.
Oh,
and the reason we played it a couple years ago on my birthday.
Not a full game.
Oh no, not a full game. Not even close to a full game. But I played it before over at Erica and Roberto's, and there was enough alcohol flowing where robots are bumping into each other, and sort of that best laid plans go to waste kind of thing.
Yep.
I can imagine Galaxy Trucker would fit into that category, except Galaxy Trucker's, again, pretty well regarded. So
sure.
I think you would like that. I think you will like that one. A, because it's a lot of Shivato. B, because it's, at least on the app, amazing. So I don't know if anyone out there is watching who has some good experiences with Galaxy Trucker, have not played the actual tabletop version, have played the app. I'm curious how it holds up in tabletop form.
I know Christina from Blue Peg, Pink Peg loves both.
Yeah,
quite a bit. So it's something I've been wanting to play, and they have it. They have the big box.
Oh, do they?
At Empire.
Yeah.
Pretty sure it's on the top.
Oh yeah, we gotta get that in sometime.
Yeah. So Josh Niekirk, another one of our Patreon nights, he said, you just brought a new game into the Dutchie. What's the first thing you do with it? Crack the shrink wrap and punch, put it on a special shelf, pour a glass of wine, and cuddle with it under a blanket?
Depends on the game.
Okay.
I mean.
So did you open everything from your Secret Santa, right?
No, I opened nothing. Still in shrink wrap.
Oh, I meant you opened, because they were wrapped. They were wrapped in Christmas.
Yeah, well, I opened the Christmas wrapping. Yeah. To find out what games there were. Sure.
You opened it before Christmas.
Yeah, well before Christmas.
Talk about the media's war on Christmas, am I right?
Well,
because you're in the media.
Yeah, thanks.
Yep. So right there.
Yep. Good job.
So you didn't open anything?
I haven't actually opened the shrink on it. I do usually do that. I'll at least get a game somewhat broken down.
Yeah.
But I don't have the plastic bags or sleeves kind of laying around like sometimes you will.
Right.
So I can't always get the game as well broken down as I have. Scott Neelitz, Galaxy Trucker is awesome, both as an app and board game.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it.
So I will typically open and punch right away and organize. I usually hate plastic bags, and for that reason, I have a bunch of organizers just waiting to go. Yeah. There's a couple that I've found, like at the hobby store. There's this one that's on this like weird carousel, and it's these 5 little compartments that I can pull off. It's like $8 for these like 5 amazing little containers, and so there's a bunch I have like that. And so I'll typically try and organize it, put it into little compartmentalize, whatever. And usually that involves me reading the setup and kind of skimming the rules just so I know how to organize it. Sometimes, like for example, at Empire, they have everything in bags, and every bag has labeled on it what goes in each bag. Okay. But you can tell that sometimes they were done that way without the person knowing how to play or how the setup is. So they have a bunch of things in weird, like grouped together. It
doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense. So I like to kind of figure out how they work together. Yeah. Or if we're coming back from, say, Dice Tower Con and we're worried about the weight of our bag. Yeah. Raquel actually spent the last night of Dice Tower Con pre-punching everything.
Oh, wow.
Just so we could get rid of
the weight down.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. What's Scott say here? Good at all counts.
He's recommending for Galaxy Trucker. Yeah, that it's yeah, and I would agree with him. Do you know kind of what the gameplay is like in this? Okay. So you have a sense of it.
Well, maybe people out there don't.
At least having played it on. So basically, I think you can play it turn-based, but it's probably better as a real-time game, which normally you would think is stress. And I'm sure there would be some stress in playing this real-time normally. But yeah, you're basically building this spaceship with certain rules. Different kinds of connectors have to go to other kinds of connectors. There's a universal connector, there's a 1-prong, and then there's a 2-prong. And they have to match up, so you have to build it that way. You have options for engines, which can make your ship go faster through open space. You have games. I'm trying to think. You have other components. Crew capsules that can hold crew members in there. You have cargo holds, things to hold stuff that you pick up along the way. You have meteoroid defense lasers that you can add onto the ship. You can add certain kinds of alien life support modules that can help support aliens that might increase the power of your lasers, might increase the power of your engines. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. There's pipes that kind of serve as good universal connectors, and basically you're just building your ship on the fly.
Yeah.
Oh, and shield deflectors to deflect meteoroids. And as you go, once you built your ship, yes.
Well, go on. You're usually the one that gives me crap when I'm like over explaining. I'm not saying you're over explaining. I'm just saying you're explaining more than you normally do.
So, and then you can also see the mission cards to kind of get a sense of what's going to be built. So, for instance, certain kinds of cargo are more hazardous.
Mm-hmm.
And so you need to have special cargo holds for that. In certain cases, you'll see events coming up that might be like slavers. That if your laser strength isn't high enough, the slavers come through and they kidnap like 3 crew members off your ship and run off with them.
Mm-hmm.
You might go through a meteoroid field where the meteoroids will be coming from up and below your ship. Basically, if you build a ship where there's an exposed connector, like an extra connector off the end of it, and a small meteoroid hits it,
mm-hmm.
the thing breaks off. Breaks off your ship. If a large meteoroid comes through and isn't hit by a laser,
is meteoroid a word?
Whatever, something.
It
is a word.
Meteoroid?
Meteor and meteoroid? Yeah.
Meteorite.
Oh, maybe.
And I think it's a meteor when it's in space, a meteorite when it's hurtling through the atmosphere.
Chris Evans, he may have already left, but if he hasn't, Best Treehouse Ever is awesome. I played that at Dice Tower Con.
And I have my Kickstarter copy upstairs.
Yeah, we actually might just get that in, kind of a bunch of quick 2-players upstairs.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
Cool.
I'll teach it to you.
I already read the rules.
It's great. Great game. But yeah, Galaxy, that kind of idea of capacity for chaos. That can,
Mm-hmm.
just things kind of going crazy in different orders and weird ways in your ship. All of a sudden you're flying with like one engine, like a crew capsule and, one laser and that's it. And all of your cargo's floating off in space because it's been broken off of your ship.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you'll like it a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure. It's Voyage Survival. Check. It's a CG game. Check Games Edition.
Yeah.
So over on Twitter, you can also
Twitter.
Ask questions on Twitter with the hashtag DODQA.
Yeah.
So at Brian C. Cabot, he asks, any older games that you are really dying to play but just have never had the chance? So I'll think of one, but I'll kind of cheat while you think of one. So El Grande. I've played El Grande, I think, just once. And this was probably early 2000s. I think it came out in the late 90s, like 98, 97, 98, somewhere in there. Played it once in 2002-ish, and it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. Chris Holm, he had a copy they brought to Empire a couple weeks ago. Wasn't able to play because typically on a Wednesday night, we're trying to get review games in, or we're trying to facilitate, the people that are coming in from the meetup group. And looked awesome again. I'm like, yeah, really dying for that. I just got it from Cool Stuff. I got the big box. So I'm very excited to play that, and it has pretty much all the expansions. I'm trying to think.
What are we defining as older game here?
I don't know.
I mean, when was Galaxy Trucker released, for instance?
2000. I want to say like 2011.
Well, by our standards, that's pretty old. No,
we're pretty cold to the new.
We are pretty cold to the new because out of necessity, primarily.
Yeah.
Mystery Rummy was released when? Mystery Rummy.
Oh, late 90s, I think.
That'd be the one.
You haven't played that?
I still haven't played Mystery Rummy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Fitzgerald. You know what I played a bunch today?
What?
Cribbage.
Oh,
I downloaded Cribbage.
Okay.
I played that a bunch today.
It's a great game.
There's a chain of thought there, but I
played it with my grandma over Thanksgiving.
Oh, did you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love Cribbage. Cribbage is a
great.
fantastic game. I probably hadn't played it in at least 10 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Galaxy Trucker was 2007. Yeah, I think that would count.
All right, Galaxy Trucker and Mystery Rummy. Those would be the two.
Okay, I'll think of something.
Okay,
and we'll move on. But I'll think of something.
All righty.
In the back of my mind.
Yes. Good luck with that.
What's next, Alex?
What's next? Anything else on the guild we didn't get to? I'm trying to look.
Yeah, I think there's a couple here. Anything you didn't talk about on for Thanksgiving?
No, I mean I brought a bunch of we covered it on the last episode. I brought a bunch of games, taught some baseball highlights, performed well as expected. Happy my brother enjoyed it so my brother dogged Patchwork when I played it with him.
Really?
He just thought it was too much of a solitaire game. That there wasn't enough player interaction.
Really?
Yeah, and to my mind,
I think there's tremendous
there's a decent amount because you're trying to kind of look ahead and see what does this person need, and I need to get this, and I need to get to the patch before someone else does. And he likes games he likes Yomi, for instance, a lot, and obviously like Puzzle Strike. He tends to need a little bit of conflict in his games.
Okay.
I just bought him for Christmas, and he already knows this. So this is not that he's watching anyway. Risk Legacy.
Okay.
Which he's excited to try.
Yeah.
So. And
I'm excited to try it too. Well, let me rephrase that. I've played Risk Legacy, but I haven't played through Risk Legacy. I've played one or two games here and there, and it was fine. The rules were the Risk core rules were so different, that it felt like Risk, but not really. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I definitely, now having experienced Pandemic Legacy, going back with a dedicated group to playing Risk Legacy, sounds amazing. Sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's just not my game as much. The dudes on the map thing I tend to like that less.
You sure do.
Typically.
Yeah.
Blood Rage was one of those where it was like, okay.
Blood Rage is awesome.
I know a lot of people think so.
Just awesome. So Josh does have another question over here. I feel like we've got the computer.
Yeah, we're all teched up. Look, okay, we've got one phone, another phone. Yeah.
I can't wait to see it in the delay here. Oh,
yeah,
anyway,
just waving stuff around.
Oh, my phone's dying. So Josh does ask, let's see here. I backed the Gallerist on Kickstarter because I love Vital Lacerda. Oh, there's me waving now. Delay's fun. Loves him as a designer, and it looked like an interesting theme. Several plays in, has not clicked, and now I'm considering selling my copy. Has there ever been a game that you've been so excited to play, and when you do, it's just a huge disappointment?
For you, does Voyages of Marco Polo quite crack that?
Yes, that is perfect. Voyages Marco Polo, because it's the same designers, Simone Luciani, and I can't remember the other person's name. Same designers as Zolkin. Zolkin was my number 1 for a while, still my number 2 game, and I was just so excited for this game. It looks cool, the art's good, the components are solid, and it's not bad. It's not a bad game. What did I wind up giving? I think a 4
at the time.
Would I give it a 5?
You might have even gone as high as a 5. I think I went with a 3.
I think I gave it you gave it a 3. I gave it a 4. I gave it a 4. And I'm wondering, I'm just wondering how much of that was the hype in my mind of, oh man, this is the Zolkin designers.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. I did get the mini expansion from the Z-Man Games booth at BGG Con, which is a couple new personalities. There's a small town, the small town bonuses.
Yeah.
There's one that gives you these other bonuses that you.
Okay. You have fun with that.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Pandemic Contagion for me.
Oh yeah.
The concept of playing a disease and having a disease get stronger and battling your disease, it's an interesting kind of reverse idea there. It just didn't work, at least for me.
Yeah, no, I wasn't crazy about it, but I wasn't expecting to like it. The game.
I was expecting to like it.
The playthroughs I'd seen of it, reviews I'd seen of it, I was like, yeah, but it doesn't look that interesting to me. There's a little bit of engine building, but it just didn't seem super interesting.
Oh, I actually know that. Oh, I have to remember the name. You played it with me a couple years ago, pretty early on. And this was one, it was called Confusion, Deception, and Espionage in the Cold War.
It wasn't that long ago. We were here in the house. In the Duchy. Yeah, we played.
Was it that one?
Yeah, we played it here in the Duchy.
I thought it was back at your the little hidden pieces in the marker.
Yeah,
the marker board.
Yeah, we played it here.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I mastered it away after 3 plays. It was one that I was really excited for conceptually again, but it just didn't work. Game just ended too much too quickly.
Yeah, it was an odd little abstract.
Yeah.
I wasn't crazy about it either.
Yeah, it was like one of those that was better in concept than it was in execution.
Yeah.
So and Zombicide, obviously, we've mentioned that as kind of games that, at least for me, were you get really excited about, and then it doesn't quite live up to it. So yeah. Speaking
of Cool Mini or Not.
Yes. Oh yeah, you just upped your pledge like.
Dear
Cool, second mortgage on the house. And
dear Cool Mini or Not, I hate you. I hate you so much. You guys are a bunch of jerks. So we talked about it last episode, Kickstarter, Arcadia Quest Inferno, and they just keep introducing all of these add-ons. I think I'm up to 270 now to get, and that, again, that's not including the wound counters and like the specialty dice. Yeah. So Brian responded on Twitter that Galaxy Trucker does count as old. You should try Dungeon Pets, same designer and company as Galaxy Trucker. I have Dungeon Pets upstairs. I picked it up at Dice Tower Con as part of the Cool Stuff Inc.'s Dinger Dent stuff. Right. I mean, that's where most of the stuff I got. And the plan was to play all of my Dice Tower acquisitions before BGG Con. And I think there's still probably 6 games. And they're all heavier games like Dungeon Pets, Venos. I'm interested to have you play Venos. No, I'm not. I take that back. It's another Vital Lacerda game.
Yeah. I think I'm good on Vital for a little bit.
Yeah, probably.
We had one down here. So this one came from Andrew Awesome. Posted it down below.
Didn't we do that one?
No, there's another one. He had a second one later. I do feel this way. Yep. Hang on one second.
I thought we did that one.
Most were all right games that had some pretty funky things about small publishers.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't do that one.
Yeah, but that's not the question. It's
looking back, we should have never considered slapping our approval on them, but we do recognize that these. Well, that's not actually a question.
Yep.
Fair enough.
High five.
High five.
Nope.
Oh, it's kind of funny doing this without editing.
Yes. Editing is weird.
Dukes of Dice unedited.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So, it's cool. I'm just throwing stuff out there since we're out of questions. See what I mean? You were so quick to be like, oh, let's jump to the questions right away.
Yeah.
I knew there'd be some downtime.
Well, fair.
That's all right. This is our first one. And like I said, it's providing some content on YouTube.
Sure.
Why not?
And thanks for those who did tune in.
Yes. We're not lonely.
No?
We're not lonely. So I have been turning some of the attorneys at my work into gamers.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. So last night we had 5 people from, 4 people and the significant other show up, and also one of their kids show up. So that's awesome. They're
playing Rampage, right?
They're playing Rampage. I taught them Rampage a couple weeks ago. They came in.
I remember that.
And then they pulled out Cash and Guns because I taught them that as well. And then I wound up teaching when there was just 2 of them, when it was Leia and her husband Brian. I taught them Longhorn by Bruna Cathala? No, not Bruna.
Sounds right.
Cathala?
No.
Did 5 Tribes? Who did 5 Tribes?
I think
Bruna Cathala. Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's kind of, I call it 5 Tribes Light. It's a 2-player, short, simpler 5 Tribes with a lot less complexity, and I really like it. We did a building block segment, or I did a building block segment.
Yeah.
You weren't on that one.
Yep. Sure wasn't.
We need to do a building block segment soon.
Do we?
Yes.
All right.
You don't have to do any of the editing.
Oh, it's the Ducal We again. Got it.
I do all. But also they purchased. So Leia has purchased.
It was Cathala, by the way.
Yeah. Okay. So Leia has purchased Telestrations. She picked up the Resistance. She was looking to pick up Mysterium. On my recommendation, I recommended it.
Yeah.
Because I think it's good. I just don't particularly enjoy it. I'm very curious what's going to happen when you play Deception Murder in Hong Kong.
I'm curious, for your point, you brought, I think it's when you mentioned Resistance Avalon that this came up for me. We had talked, and I think we'll talk about this on the next episode too. Secret Hitler.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, and it's blown up on Kickstarter.
Yes.
Just absolutely blown up. And it does look like it has interesting gameplay and an interesting twist on Resistance Avalon.
No, it absolutely does.
But there's a reason you're not backing it.
Yeah, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's because I've become more PC in my old age. I don't like the, okay, so it's a hidden role game.
Yeah.
And so some of you are the fascists and some of you are the liberals, and there's a chancellor and there's Hitler. Right. And you're trying to, the fascists are trying to enact a certain number of conservative fascist policies, and liberals are trying to enact liberal policies, and you can assassinate Hitler.
Right. If the liberals assassinate Hitler at any point during the course of the game, they win. If the fascists are able to get, and it's a lizard Hitler. It's not like Adolf Hitler.
Yeah, they're all lizard. All the Nazis are lizards, which is weird.
Yeah, but it's after and it's after 3 policies have passed. So it's kind of an interesting political Resistance Avalon.
I think the gameplay looks awesome. I think it looks super cool, and it's you know who's doing it, right? It's the Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah,
guys.
no, I'm aware.
So
which is probably why they're But that's why the Kickstarter is blowing up. It's just off of the name.
Well, off of them, because they've got a huge following. And the Hitler thing it's a part of its marketing. Part of that is it's controversial. It's drawing people there. And I'm not faulting anyone that wants to back it or play it. And I've played games where I'm Nazi Germany, where it's a war game, it's Axis and Allies or whatever. Even in like Axis and Allies, though, you guys don't have swastikas on them. They've got the German cross, for example. And I know, and maybe that's whitewashing, and maybe there's a double standard here. But for some reason, I don't want to be Hitler.
Yeah,
I don't.
Which is weird because you don't have a problem being Darth Vader.
I don't, and he killed way more people than
he sure did. He was on genocide. He blew up a whole planet.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. I mean, I feel like someone out there is going to do a reskin print and play.
Yeah.
And I would probably do that.
Yeah.
And I feel I typically only like doing a reskin print and play if I've purchased the game.
What if I buy the game and we just cross out Hitler?
Okay.
And just write something else on there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Emperor Ming.
Yeah, something.
Okay.
Would that work?
I don't know. Like I said, the gameplay looks really cool. And
I mean, it's your style of game for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So on Twitter, Richie Turner. Richie, by the way, is the one that introduced me to Wyatt Earp.
Oh, okay.
So thanks for that recommendation, Richie. Are you guys also reviewing Tuscany or just the base viticulture?
And it's just going to be base viticulture for this weekend's upcoming review.
Yes.
If only because I haven't played Tuscany. You have played some of the modules?
I've played they rank them in three levels, depending on how much they change the game. I've played all the level 1 modules, and I think I've played one of the level 2 modules. So at a minimum, I would want to have played all of Tuscany. And saying
that would be way too far off.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, though, I mean, just the sheer amount of options, I've heard it adds a decent chunk to the game. It's actually probably one of the best expansions out there, from what I've heard.
Yeah,
in terms of what it does to the game.
Yeah, I think that once I add like the meteor components or the meteor modules, which basically adds a whole new board where you're doing significant actions in the spring and the fall, instead of just kind of upkeep stuff. I'm sure I'm going to like that. I'm worried for you that it's going to add too much complexity to an already elegant game. And
a very elegant game.
Yeah. So
I don't know.
But I mean, at some point, this was kind of an audible. So we knew, Jamie had contacted us about 2 months ago and let us know that he wanted to do this. And we're like, yeah, by all means, we'd love to participate.
Yeah.
And we had the start date. For some reason in my head, I had it ending later in December.
Yeah.
It's really a quick auction.
So we didn't even mention it on the last episode. So feeling bad about that, I think it made sense for us to push it up, and hey, why not review viticulture at the same time? So
well, that's weird. So one of my bosses, I have like 7 bosses.
Yeah.
One of my bosses, Kelly, she just texted me, "Have you played Cards Against Humanity? Would you recommend it?" unless she's
for newer gamers, sure.
Unless she's watching now.
I played it with this sort of ties into Secret Hitler in some ways, but also Cards Against Humanity.
I'm gonna text her back.
I told you this story last Thanksgiving when I was at Jillian's family. Jillian's mom, who is this very, very proper, church-going kind of woman, won. She was the best at that game, and she primarily won by continually making Jewish jokes through her cards.
Okay. Huh. You may want to rethink this. What with the Secret Hitler?
Yeah. Kind of weird.
Oh, was that it? That was the story?
That was the story.
Oh.
That's how it came up for me. Sort of.
I see.
Yes.
So I don't know if she's watching right now.
I doubt it.
I seriously doubt it.
Yeah.
Like she knows about the podcast and whatnot. But it's a question. So we'll pretend there's a hashtag.
Do you recommend Cards Against Humanity?
No, I don't.
I do.
Okay.
For pure fun. Snake Oil. One of the funnier experiences we had at Dice Tower Con was at the very end when it was like 2-3 in the morning. And we are all just loopy playing Snake Oil.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was epic. And I think those kinds of games are perfect for that. They have a place.
Yeah, no, I don't have a problem with that kind of game.
Right.
I like Say Anything. I like Snake Oil.
Sure.
But I think Cards Against Humanity is forcing. I know you're dying. I know that. It's trying to be provocative for the sake of being provocative.
Yeah.
and it's trying to be. I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I think I've become like
you're
more PC.
You're grumpy old.
Than my old. No, it's like grumpy. It's I don't know.
You're like PC principal.
Maybe.
Do you watch South Park these days?
No.
Probably because it's not PC enough.
Maybe. So, yeah, I don't particularly like. Yeah, you could sit down and have some laughs, but
and that's what it's there for. This is not obviously a deep, Euro gamer kind of thing, and it's not meant to fill that kind of gap. But for what it does, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
More than saying. While you're thinking, we're up to 5. Oh no, we're back down to 3.
No, we lost everyone. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know which one I'd have to think about that more. So, all right. Well, what do you think, Sean? Wrapping up time?
Yeah, I think so. We're a little bit over an hour there.
We'll give a 2-minute warning for questions. If you have any other questions, type them into the chat or send them via Twitter.
Let me check.
#DODQA.
Let me look on Twitter here.
Yep.
So Kelly wasn't watching.
Oh yeah.
She was. Well, but we had just mentioned Cards Against Humanity, and she texts me, "What do you think of Cards Against Humanity?"
Yeah.
So I think it's a reasonable thought process there.
Sure. No, it's a crazy coincidence.
Yeah. So, so it's your start of your weekend. It's your Saturday, essentially.
My Saturday. Yep.
Any plans?
I did absolutely nothing today.
Awesome.
I couldn't get to sleep so I had way too many. Endless iced tea is a mistake sometimes.
Okay.
And I had like 5 of them yesterday. Didn't go to sleep until like 5:30. It was bad. I could not go to sleep. It wasn't for lack of trying.
Wow.
I couldn't sleep.
It's a bummer, man.
It was a big bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to a continuing education class today, which was awesome. Was not. I have way too much work to do, and that was really annoying. Let's see. Nope. Just Kelly again.
Yep.
So
fair enough.
Well, okay. So like we said, we're doing this because we've reached a certain amount on Patreon.
Yep.
So you can go find us on Patreon if you want to support the Dukes. It's patreon.com/Dukes of Dice.
Yep.
We're currently at $31 an episode. I believe at 40. It's either 40 or $50 an episode that this semi-monthly live Q&A will become monthly.
Right.
So that's a thing. And
we will have another one of these next month.
We'll be doing one in January because this was supposed to be the November one.
Yeah.
But I look weird.
We missed it by a few days.
Mushy my face.
Yes.
So
not on the radio anymore, Sean.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, so this is technically the November live Q&A. We'll have another one at some point next month. And yeah, so for those of you that tuned in to watch, thank you. That's super cool. There I am mushing my face again.
Yep.
And now I look. This delay thing is really
Stop
weird.
looking at the delay.
I can't. Well,
you can't pay attention.
Here, I'm gonna do this. There we go.
All right.
Oh, now it's live. So you know what's interesting? So you can like fill time in like coherent ways, like as part of your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sort of. I mean, in the short doses. For TV, you do it in short doses, like at the end of a show or end of a newscast.
Yeah.
When I was doing hockey broadcasting, sometimes it would be in far longer doses, and you'd do game recaps, and you'd think about, telling the stories of the game or stories about players or whatever else So that's how that would all go. Yeah, sometimes, not always.
Yeah. Was everyone thinking of a nice backdrop here?
Oh yeah.
So there were plans for like a nicer backdrop, and then it was too small, and so I think Raquel and I are going to build some sort of like canvas backdrop with like a painted on Dukes of Dice logo or something. All
right, we're past the 2 minutes. I think we stretched it enough.
All right, one last check. Patrick Hillier. So sorry I missed it.
Well, it'll be for those of you who just tuned in or tuned in late. We're going to post this full thing. It's going to go up on YouTube pretty soon after this, right?
Look, now we have 6 people. See this?
What?
I know. I know. Quick, Patrick, ask a question. Quick. I'm going to fill time.
You're going to fill time? All right. Go ahead.
I meant we're going to Ducal I.
Actually, Ducal I. First time we've used that in the inverse.
Yep. Is it the inverse? I don't think it's the inverse. I think your word choice is poor.
It's very possible.
So I mentioned before, Patrick taught me 504, which was awesome because I
still have to try that.
Yeah, you do. I don't know what you're gonna think.
Where are you at with Legacy?
Where
are we?
So we talked briefly about this earlier. We are in June. Oh, no, wait. We're waiting. Yeah, we finished June. We're about to start July.
That sounds right.
Yeah, but we didn't play this last week. Both Matthew and Matt, our two other players, couldn't make it. And then the week before was Thanksgiving. The week before that, oh wow, it's gonna be a month.
It's gonna be a month. Solid month.
It's gonna be a month. Wow. Yeah, I'm jonesing. I'm absolutely jonesing.
Yes.
Because that game is awesome.
Yes, it is.
Do you envision buying another copy to play with another group?
No, I think once you know some of the secrets as they get revealed, I think you tweak your strategy enough with it. You just know what's coming. You just know this is XYZ is going to be important, and take actions kind of directed towards that. That's what I worry about.
Well, yeah, but I feel like that'd be like rewatching a TV show.
Oh, Patrick's in the same spot.
Oh, nice. It'd be like watching like Game of Thrones and then waiting for the Red Wedding to watch someone's reaction, and then like right before it happens, you're like, "Here's what happens next."
Yeah, the TV shows though is out of your control in a sense, right? I mean, the TV show happens as it happens, whereas with the game, it's there's a certain amount of interactivity to it. So, yeah. Richie
responded. Rich Turner said, Traders of Osaka plays well at 3, but not great at 4. R Echo is another good 2-3-player game from the same designer. R Echo, R-ECO. I don't know what that is.
Cool.
Unless it's short for something.
All right.
I'll look that up. Or you can tweet me back.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, that's gonna wrap it up. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. I got one more work day. I do have a work. We're calling it the firm prom.
Firm prom.
The firm Christmas prom.
Okay.
On Saturday. So, yeah.
Have fun with that.
Sure will.
Is Raquel going?
Yeah.
All right.
What?
I don't know. Maybe you were going stag.
Sure. Why not? All right. So that's going to do it. So we got to 6. We got to 5 technically because we were one of them.
No. This actually, I've been noticing this has gone down to 0. We are not counted as part of that. So when we were at 1 and we thought it was just us. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it wasn't.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's really cool. So for those of you that tweeted questions, that asked questions in the comments, that posted on the guild, thank you very much. We'll be doing this again next month.
Possibly with a better backdrop.
With a what?
With a better backdrop.
Oh, backdrop. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, until next time, this is Sean.
And Alex.
And hold on, I have to be ready to hit stop broadcast.
Stop it. Yeah, there's no way, Sean.
We're the Dice. Later, everybody. Have a good night.